Hi guys, and welcome back here to the development. Today we are starting a brand new series. In this series we're going to be talked about today and do some work is a dialogue system. So the idea here is that I have my character and then I can, for example, interact with another character and then we can have a dialogue, and then the actor that we are interacting with can give us, let's say, some questions and tasks and things to do, all based on the dialogue interaction. So we're just going to make it very simple, but this is going to be very powerful for any RPG game that you are going to be doing. And because we're doing this in modules, then eventually you can interact this with any character or any current game that you have. All right, I was going to do with our RPG saga, but I think this is a good example of things that we can reuse in the future, so I'm going to make it standalone. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is set up the variables. So we're going to create here a new folder called dash, and actually we're just going to call this dialog system. All right. And then dialog system, we're going to create a var. And then inside the variables, we need to create two simple things. One is the st dialog, and the other one is the st dialog option. Perfect. Now we are going to open up the dialog, and we're going to have the question. We're going to have your options, and I think so we have the question, the option, and that's it, everything we need. So the question obviously is a string. Options is going to be a reference to this data table, but we don't have that yet. So let's just open up here the dialog options, which is going to be the question or option. It's going to be a string. We're going to add a new variable, and this is going to be ends conversation. Perfect. Boolean. And then we're going to have another one, which is going to be the next question. Right? So the option will also trigger the next question. So the dialog now, what we're going to do is right click. Let's go back here to migration, animation, data table, miscellaneous here, data table, and we are going to search for the st dialog. All right. dt main dialog. I am going to call this main dialog because we're going to have options, and that can be a little bit confusing after. Now on the blueprint, we're also going to do that here, right? But we're going to call this st dialog or options, right? Oh no, I don't want to create a new structure. Sorry, I want to create a data table, right? From this, and we're going to call this dt option, or option in this case. Actually, options, yes, right, because it's in the plural. Yeah. Anyway, so the main dialog, we are going to play with something very simple. Like, let's say find, right? Find the master sword. All right, and that's gonna be like a Zelda kind of style. So we're gonna, hey, hero, can you help me? So this is gonna be basically the question. Now the options, we need to change the structure of the dialogue really quickly. So this is gonna be a data table row handle. All right, make sure is a array because we can have multiples. And we always add like a default value just so it's easy for anyone to set up after. All right. Now let's create two options. Let's copy the prefix here, request, so we know what we are actually doing. We're gonna do yes, or in this case, option dash yes. And then we're gonna say yes, which is like, yes, I will help you. And I'm going to duplicate that, and we're going to have a very simple no. All right. And that is everything that we need here as well. Perfect. Now the next thing that we need to do is open up the dialog. And then the next question is going to be a data table row handle, right? Data table row handle. Make sure we have a default value, and that's going to be the main dialog. And that's it. Nice. So now we can save everything. Let's go back to the main dialog. Let's add two options. So we have option 1. We're also going to insert. So the first option here, the options, right, is yes and then no, right? Perfect. Now on the DT options, right, the main dialog here, options, we have questions, options. Also, we need to add another option, another variable called the same as we call it here, ends conversation. It's gonna be a boolean and it's just a single. All right, that's everything we need to do in terms of the structure of this, because with that, now what we can do is that we can duplicate one and we can just say something like final, right? And this ends the conversation, and then the person say, okay, no problem. And then something like that, you know, very, very simple, very minimalist. Now on the option of no, we just basically say, okay, let's trigger the final. So in this way, we come here, we know exactly what we're trying to do, what options they are. When this happens, we know this is a final state. We know the options that it belongs to each quest. So it's very organized. So that has been sorted. All right. Now I want you guys to get to this point, because then in the next video, we're going to start to set up our character. And I promise you this, it's going to be a very simple and easy tutorial. It's going to be basically, you know, we just need to attach the component or to like an object, or it can be like an object that triggers this whole thing. And then we can work from that. All right. Thank you very much for watching, and I see you guys on the next one.